lovely place, beautiful hotels, right on the beach, nice white sand, very beautiful clean sea, and we used to go and have very happy times there.
To slow down time.
If I asked you to picture Cyprus, what image would come to mind? Sandy beaches? Blue sea? Hot sun? Cyprus is famous for being a place to get away and enjoy your vacation. But for the people who live there, this country holds a story that has driven it apart. On the 20th of July 1974, Turkey launched a military invasion on Cyprus in an attempt to occupy the island. The invasion lasted 4 weeks and 1 day, and Turkey was able to capture 40% of Cyprus and now occupy the island's northern half. As a result of the war, tensions in the country ran high, and every single one of the island's occupants were affected. How old were you when the invasion happened?
I was 36 years old when the invasion happened.
What do you remember?
It was quite a frightening experience because we were being constantly bombed, and the radio from the Turkish side was announcing that we're going to be over your heads in 4 minutes. And exactly in 4 minutes, the planes were coming and bombing us. We had 2 small children, so we had to keep safe. We had to put mattresses in front of the windows so that if the window panes shattered, they wouldn't come and wound us.
I was 11. Lots of bombs going off, fighter planes, bombers. It was quite scary because obviously we were all young, and we were sleeping in the basement of a block of flats. So it wasn't very pleasant.
In Cyprus, evidence of the war remains clearly visible, whether it be in the form of buildings lit up with bullet holes and dressed in barbed wire, or houses that have been deserted for decades. However, the most prominent example of the invasion's remnants lies in the form of the capital, Nicosia. Nicosia lies in the centre of Cyprus and is divided into 2 halves. In order to cross from one side to another, you need to cross a border that separates the 2 sides of a street named Lydra Street. Filming is forbidden there, however I was able to secretly film the crossing. As I crossed over from the Greek side to the Turkish side, I was filled with a great feeling of sadness. The crossing had been fashioned out of an alleyway between old houses and businesses, and painted on the walls were messages from activists promoting the idea of a united Cyprus free from conflict and war. It was very clear that this divide is purely political, and that the people of Cyprus don't want to be split apart.
It's weird because technically both sides are still at war, but there's no hostility.
Although technically still at war, Turkey and Cyprus have stopped fighting. Nowadays, most of the conflict is political. The 2 countries have had many talks in the past in hopes of peace. However, every time both sides have come away from talks with no sight of a resolution.
Politically, I'm not very optimistic because the 2 sides don't think about themselves as though they are Cypriots first and foremost. Each side thinks I'm Greek Christian, and the Turks think I'm Turkish Muslim. they've got a common flag which they don't use very often. Most of the time they're using the Greeks the Greek flag, the Turks the Turkish flag, and I think it's very difficult to unite them and for them to think that they all belong to one country again.
Ελπίζω να βρεθεί μια λύση, να μπορέσουμε να ξανανοθούμε με τους τουρκοκύπριους συμπατριώτες μας, αλλά δυστυχώς είναι δύσκολη η κατάσταση, περάσαν πάρα πολλά χρόνια και οι πολιτικοί μας δεν ξέρω αν έχουν το θάρρος να πάρουν τέτοια δύσκολη απόφαση.
Cyprus's problem is clear to see. Aside from all of the politics, the island's citizens are scared that a united Cyprus will strip them of their identity, whether that be through religion or through politics. There is a fear that coming together again will mean that people lose what they have become since the divide.
I'd like there to be a solution, but unfortunately both sides are very stuck in their own positions. So it's not easy, but obviously I'd like there to be a solution where everyone can live together. But we'll see.
The war heavily impacted the people of Cyprus. It meant that people were driven from their homes and were left with nothing. And for the people who lived in the city of Famagusta, even after the fighting, they could never go back. The city of Famagusta is regarded as a ghost town. It was abandoned after the war and entry is forbidden, as the borders are closely guarded. However, I managed to film my experiences with my phone as I went as close as I could to the city. As I was walking along the beach beside the city, I can only describe the feeling as surreal. Looking at the buildings so close was like seeing a place frozen in time. Whole skyscrapers had just been left untouched since 1974. The only thing separating me from the ghost town was a tattered wire fence. I could have easily entered if it weren't for the warnings of armed guards. As I reached the end of the beach, I could see the whole expanse of the city. It was truly jaw-dropping to see how big it is, and it's hard to think about the fact that all of it's abandoned and lays lifeless. Famagusta is a permanent reminder that war isn't just about politics. It's not something that determines government or religion. War affects innocent people, and sometimes the lives of the people it affects can never return to how they were.
There were 200,000 refugees, which for a population of 700,000 is a big amount. The government, they were living in tents in the beginning.
What sticks in my mind most now, it's the most obvious sign of the invasion, is that walled off part.
I think what I've learned is that what defines Cyprus isn't determined by the island's past. It's determined by its people. Whether that be through their experiences and their stories.
Όταν μεταξύ της πρώτης και της δεύτερης εισβολής, επειδή είμαστε κλεισμένοι κάτω στο υπόγειο στο σπίτι του γονιού μου, βγήκαμε έξω να πάμε με τον αδερφό μου να παίξουμε έξω και έπεσα πάνω σε ένα παράθυρο και κόψα το χέρι μου και έπρεπε να με πάρει στο νοσοκομείο όπου ήταν όλοι με τους πυροβολισμούς και εγώ είχα κόψει το χέρι μου και έπρεπε να μου βάλουν επίδεσμο και μετά πήγα στην Αγγλία με τον επίδεσμο και έλεγα σε όλους πως είχα έρθει από τον πόλεμο και ήμουν τραυματισμένος.
Or through their hopes for the future.
Economically, I think it's quite good because the Cypriots are very clever and they've got a very business mind.
The way you fix the island's divide is simply by bringing its people together.